Hey there, everybody. This is CP Cards and Dice, and welcome to another presentation of our '83 APBA Mets. Hope you enjoyed this stream. It's going to be Tom Seaver on the mound visiting Houston, and Mike Scott. Now, Mike Scott, I modified his. He had a 3.72 ERA, 10 wins and 6 losses, and he was a D, which is pretty bad, pretty low. So probably the lowest of the bunch. So I'm going to make him a C, and see how that goes. I mean, Mookie Wilson leading it off for the Mets, followed by Huey Brooks, the third baseman, and Darryl Strawberry in right field, batting third. Batting cleanup is George Foster, who is playing left field. Dave Kingman at first base, batting fifth. Batting sixth is Ron Hodges. Brian Giles at second base, batting eighth. Jose Oquendo, the defensive specialist, made a big difference on the field for the Mets defensively. He's batting eighth, and Tom Seaver batting ninth. Let's get started. You use the cup, you roll 2 dice, and you get a result. That's how quickly APBA baseball plays. That's a strikeout. Wilson down swinging. Brooks is next. He's a right-handed hitter, the 26, and that's a fly ball. 7, 2 out. Darryl Strawberry with a 44, and that's line base hit. So Strawberry on with a single. George Foster with a 62, and that's a strikeout. That retires aside. No runs, 1 hit. We go to the bottom of the first. Omar Moreno, Tony Scott in right field. Omar Moreno is the leadoff batter in center field. Tony Scott batting second. He's on deck in right field. Batting third is Dickie Thon, the shortstop. Phil Garner, the third baseman, batting fourth. Jose Cruz in left field, batting fifth. Batting sixth is Ray Knight, the first baseman. Batting seventh is Alan Ashby, the catcher. Batting eighth is Bill Doran, the second baseman. And Mike Scott came over from the Mets, batting ninth, 46. It's a strikeout. So Scott fans Moreno. Next is Tony Scott with a snake eyes. That's going to take us to the second. Oh, and that's a deep drive. Got a hole of that, drives it deep to right center field. Back goes Strawberry, and that's gone. Tony Scott with a solo shot. Bottom of the first, 1-0. Astros. Dickie Thon, 66. That's deep. That's gone. Fastball. Drives it deep to left center field. Back-to-back jacks off Seaver. Tony Scott and Dickie Thon. Scrap iron Garner. And that's grounded to third. 2 out. And it's Cruz. Ball 4 to Cruz, so he walks down first. Ray Knight, at 45. That's back-to-back walks. Alan Ashby with a 21, and that's a strikeout. And that's 2 strikeouts for Seaver. No runs. 2 runs, 2 hits, 2 walks, 2 left on base. Top of the second. Dave Con Kingman against Mike Scott. 15 is a single. Kingman is on. Hodges with a 44, and that's line base hit, and that's going to send Kingman to third. First and third now. Giles. Okay, Hodges is going to play it safe. 36 is a 34. And with first and third. .36 is a 33. And that is going to be a pop-up. Second base. 1 away. Next is Jose Oquendo. 35. That's a strikeout. So he goes down swinging. And now it's Tom Seaver, first and third. 35. And that's a K. Back-to-back Ks. And that's going to be no runs, 2 hits. Side retired. We go to the bottom of the first. So Mike Scott gets out of the jam. And now it's Doran. Bill Doran with a 44. And that's a fly ball. 1 away. Wilson. Scott now with a strikeout. Third strikeout for Seaver. and it's the top of the order. That's a strikeout. Back-to-back Ks for Seaver in the bottom of the second to finish it off. No runs, no hits. We go to the top of the third. It's 2-0 Astros. Back-to-back home runs by Scott and Thon in the first. Wilson. And it's grounded to second base. Doran up with it. 1 away. Hubie Brooks, and that's line base hit. Played on a hop by the left fielder, Jose Cruz. So Brooks is on at first. Darryl Strawberry, that's a deep drive. Darryl Strawberry gets a hold of one. Back goes the right fielder, Scott, to the track, to the wall. That's out of here. 2-run shot, tying the ball game for Darryl Strawberry, the rookie sensation out of Tidewater. Ties the game. George Foster. And that's a comebacker to Scott. 2 out. And Kingman, strike 3. Inside retired, but the Mets pick up 2 runs on 2 hits. All tied at 2 now. Scott leading it off in the bottom of the third against Seaver. And Scott goes after the curve. 1 away. Ground and chop to Giles. 2 out. And now it's Garner with a ground ball to short this time. And that retires the side. 3 up, 3 down. Top of the fourth, Hodges leading it off. 66, that's going to be extra bases, no doubt, and it is. Pull down the line, it's the right field corner. Throw to second, not in time. Hodges in there with a double. Brian Giles with a 62, and that's a ground. That's grounded to second. And that's going to send Hodges to third. Okendo with a 62 and a 26 with the infield in. See what happens. Run on third, infield in, 26. And that is a runner is going to be out at home. Runner out at home, batter to second on rundown. 2-5, 4-2, 4-2-5. So runner to second on, I guess, the fielder's choice. Okendo's at second. Here's Tom Terrific. And the 61 is going to be a runner on second. Translated to 24. 24 is a pop-up, middle of the infield. And that retires the side. Mets, no runs, 1 hit. And they go to the bottom of the fourth. Cruz leading it off. And that is a ground ball. Second base. Knight. Ground ball. Shortstop. Ashby. 42. And that's a 36, which is a ball. 42 again. Ball 2. And a 65 is popped up. Second catcher. 3 up, 3 down. I don't have the cards. I have the cards on the wrong side. I'm not even seeing the cards. Let's do that. Let's fix the cards. And just noticed right now. All right, now you can see the card. You see what's going on there. All right. Top of the fifth. It is 2-2. Here is Wilson. And a 56 is a pop-up. Shortstop. Brooks is next, and that's another pop-up. Catcher. And Strawberry ripped to short. Thon up with it. Over to first. 3 up, 3 down. That must have been like a 5-second inning. That's one thing APBA can do for you. Doran is going to lead it off, and he's going to pop up. Right there is Hodges. Mike Scott on the bottom of the sixth. 2-2 the score. He flies out center field. On the run is Wilson, and he gets there for the out. Moreno with a fly ball to right. Strawberry. makes the catch. No runs, no hits. We go top of the 6th. And a 22 on Foster's card is going to be a single. So Foster leads it off with a single. Now it's Kingman. And that's a fly ball left field. Scott Cruz is out there, rather. Cruz makes the catch. Hodges with a fly ball to right. And now it's Giles. And he grounds it to shortstop. That's no runs, one hit, bottom of the 6th. Tony Scott leading it off. He had a home run earlier. 35, and that's a pop to the catcher, Hodges. Thon with a 42, and that's a base on ball, so Thon walks. Scrap Iron Garner with a 61, a 39. There goes Thon. Throw down in time. Hodges guns down. Dickie Thon. 2-4. Hodges, Garner's still up. Here's the pitch to Garner, 22, and that's a fly ball, line to center. Right there is Wilson. And that retires the side. No runs, no hits, no left on base, top of the 7th. Okendo with a grounder short. To his left is Thon. Scoops it, throws on the run, and in time. Seaver. And he chops one to short. Thon waits back, now charges. 2 out. That's ball. Oh, no, that's foul back. Again, Wilson with a 40 back. Foul back again, 65, and that's popped up. Ashby makes the catch. 3 up, 3 down, bottom of the 7th. So all tied at 2. Cruz leads us off, and he lines one center field. On the run is Wilson. Oh, makes a nice diving catch. Mookie Wilson flashing the leather for the crowd here in Houston. Very nice. Snake Eyes, that's going to take us to the second column, and a 45 is a ball that splits the outfielders. And after it is Wilson, he tracks it down, throw to second base, not in time, so it's a 1-out double for Charles Ray Knight from Albany, Georgia. Alan Ashby was 61, and that's popped up. Right there is Okendo. Makes the catch. And now they're going to walk. Will they replace Scott? I don't know that they will. We're going to pitch to Doran. And that is a grounder. Right there is Okendo, fires to first, and in time. That retires the side. 1 left on, 1 hit. We go to top of the 8th. Hey there, RJL is in the house. How you doing, brother? Quick game, APBA. Easy peasy stuff, Hubie Brooks. 55, that's line base hit. Frozen rope to left center field by Hubie Brooks. He's on at first with the leadoff hit. Dal Strawberry, good power. He's hit a 2-run shot already. And here he drives one, and that falls in. That's going to be a single. That's going to allow Brooks to go to third. First and third now on Scott. Infield's in for Houston. A Snake Eyes. That's a deep drive. Foster got a hold of that. He unloaded. That's a deep drive. Left center field. Back goes Moreno and Cruz to the track, to the wall. That's out of here. 3-run shot. George Foster. Mets are up 5. Mets are up 5-2 now. Nobody out. Action in the bullpen. Kingman strikes out. Next is Hodges. And a 41. That's a chop to short. Thon. Strong throw. 2 out. And it's Giles, 52. And it's pulled down the line. Backhanded by the third baseman. Garner fires to first and gets his man. But the Mets pick up 3 runs on 3 hits. And going down to the bottom of the 8th. Scott is going to see, we're going to see a pinch hitter for the Astros. I had a back and forth with a clown over on the APBA forum. Kept on telling me that George Bamberger says Oquendo's a great player. So it doesn't matter what Bill James says or the metrics say. And I go, okay, that's fine. That's great. But hey, fool, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about what Bamberger says. I'm trying to figure out the metrics to figure out how Oquendo is graded. Oquendo was actually had a very high rating in what is known as the range factor. If you look at his range factor, he's in the top 5 shortstops in the league. So when he was rated a 9, I was questioning. They don't look at fielding percentage. That has nothing to do with it. Because guys who get to more balls are going to make more errors. But Oquendo got to a lot of balls, and he was successful with them. So he got a high rating in that area. So that's why he's rated a 9, because the 9 makes a huge difference in this game. Terry Puel, who's a lefty, is going to step in the box. So Scott is done. Scott went 8. Gave up 5 runs, 5 earned runs. How many hits? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 hits. All right, so here's Terry Puel. Here's Seaver. Pitch to Puel, leading off. It's a 14. That's lifted to left. Towards the line is Foster. Makes the catch. Omar Moreno's next. We're in the bottom of the 8th. Mets are up 5-3. 2-run shot by Strawberry and a 3-run shot by George Foster. That's a 35. That's foul back. And a 21 is a fly ball to left. Back-to-back flies to left field, giving Foster something to do. And now it's Tony Scott. And that's grounded slowly towards second. Giles charges over to first. And now retires the side. 3 up, 3 down. Top of the 9th. It's going to be new pitcher. It's going to be Oquendo, Seaver, and Wilson. Will they pinch hit for Seaver? I don't know that right now. I don't think so. Seaver he's sitting pretty right now. And DePino. All right, DePino's a lefty facing Oquendo. He's an XZ, so he's a BXZ. Here goes, 25, and that's line base hit for Oquendo. So Oquendo's 1 for 4 today. Stroke that fastball, drove it back up the middle. Played on a hop by Omar Moreno, who gets it into Doran at second. Seaver's up. He's going to bunt, and a 62 is foul back. 54 is a nice bunt back to the pitcher. There's going to be one play. It's 1-4, and the runner goes to second. So a successful sacrifice by Tom Terrific here in the 9th inning. Mookie Wilson with a 51, and that is a something or other. I think it's a ground out to third, if I remember correctly. No, it's a comebacker. DePino fields his position. Seaver to third, so 2 outs. And Brooks with a 32, and he chops one to second. And that retires the side. No runs, 1 hit. The Mets leave a runner at third base, stranded. And we go to bottom of the 9th. Okay, in the bottom of the 9th, it's going to be Thon, Garner, and Cruz. So anyway, the guy was trying to pass off word of mouth, anecdotal evidence, when I wasn't talking about that. That's fine, and that's valuable information. I'm not saying it isn't. Say knowing what the coaches think, but come on. Is Joe Torre going to kind of diss Derek Jeter's range in the late 90s? No, I mean, you're not going to say, if you don't have anything positive to say, don't say anything at all. But hey, so I was just trying to figure out which metric could be used. And this guy just went off. I said, dude, come on. Take a step back. Take a deep breath. Don't be a jerk. It's all right. I mean, I don't hate Oquendo. I'm not trying to prove that he's not a good player. I'm just trying to get some information. So why we got to make a big argument over it? I mean, totally, uh, uh, an emotional, you know, case, a nut case on the forum. Like, chill out, man. All I'm trying to get, I don't really care about what you're talking about. I'm talking about Bill James. Don't argue with me. Argue with Bill James because the range factor system is the one that he devised. And I'm trying to figure out why Baylor on the Mets is a 7, whereas Okendo is a 9 when they had the same range factor numbers. Just trying to figure this out. Maybe there's something else I'm not looking at. Anyway, he's a jerk, and I had to shut down the thread because of him. So then I started a new one. So if he comes back again, I'll just have to unload on him until the moderators feel like doing something. They thought it was a joke. He called me, what did he call me? A bunch of little names that they hurt me so much. But it was just stupid. Why are you attacking me? I'm telling you, I'm not talking about that. I don't want to hear from you. Because he does that all the time. I just want to know about Bill Mate. I want to know about the James system that the game system could be using. And he's like, oh no, Bamberger said he was the greatest shortstop that ever lived. And I go, okay, good, no problem with that. I'll call Bamberger after I found out what the matrix are that they're using to rate their players. That's all I wanted to know. So anyway, Dickie Thon is up against Tom Terrific, 33, and that's going to be driven in the gap, and that's going to make it one hop off the wall. Thon is going to go into second base with a leadoff double. There's action in the Met bullpen. Garner, 31, ball 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So Seaver is a 7. That becomes an A now. First and second. Seaver's an A pitcher. Oh my goodness. And a 15. That's a deep drive. This game is tied, folks. 3-run shot, Jose Cruz. Wow, just like that. Jose Cruz, big. Drives one to right field. Strawberry did nothing but turn around and look up, and that's gone. Jose Cruz ties it up at 5 apiece in the bottom of the 9th. Seaver is gone. He's adios. We're bringing in Orozco. Wow, that was. All right, Jesse Orozco is a ACXZ, so nobody's getting on with him. But even with Seaver as an A, there was nothing that could be done because all the roles were beat his A. Knight is going to get extra bases, it looks like, and that's gone. Ball game over. Oh, against Orozco. Holy smokes, look at this game. The Mets had it in the bag. The Mets are up 5-2 going into the bottom of the 9th. Seaver is coasting along. Seaver basically had given up 1 hit in the last 7 innings. 1 hit and 1 walk in the last 7 innings. The bottom of the 9th starts off with Thon, Garner, and Cruz coming up to face Seaver. Seaver's been bumped up a grade to an A. Dickie Thon connects for a double. So he's standing on base with a leadoff double. Then Garner walks, fouls off a whole series of pitches, makes it to first on a walk, first and second. There's action. Suddenly there's bullpen action for the Mets. Jose Cruz lines a first pitch Seaver fastball into the right field seats and ties the ball game. Then it's Ray Knight. And Ray Knight is going to face Jesse Orozco because Seaver is relieved by Orozco. First pitch from Orozco, drive deep to right field, left field, and left center field, and that ball is over the fence, gone. Ball game over. 4 runs, 3 hits, bottom of the 9th. Final score 6-5 Astros. A shocker for the Mets. Holy smokes. The dice roll say it all. If you can see that 66, That is pure well, it could be, you know, celebration or tragedy in APBA Basic. The 66 usually tells you that ball's out of here. Oh man, Sports Time Machine, this just blew me away, dude. Yeah, it was just like that. You're coasting along. He gave up one hit in his last 7 innings. One hit, one walk in his last 7 innings. So he's an A pitcher now. He got bumped up from a B to an A. Okay, I got an outstanding bullpen on call. So the first batter doubles, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's still a 5-2 lead. Next batter walks, and I'm saying, uh-oh, but Cruz is not as a home run hitter. If you look at Cruz's card, Cruz is not a home run hitter. Cruz may have hit 12 home runs that season. I'm not sure. And guess, lo and behold, he drives one, and the game is tied. And then next is Ray Knight, another guy who's not a home run hitter. He actually has 4 numbers that are home runs. Look at that. And that's in the second column. So he doesn't get a first column home run. He's got 5 numbers. He's got 11, 22, 33, 44, and 66. And look what we rolled. We rolled 22, which was a 0. Takes us to the second column, and 66. That's gone. Game over. A shocker. Mets. You know, Mets have a terrible record. Mets were in last place in '83, but this was the beginning of what was to be a mini dynasty for the mid and late '80s. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to play it, but I'm playing it pretty fast here. I do want to get to know the players from that era. I want to, enjoy Seaver coming in. Seaver, I mean, he really had a heck of a game. But it wasn't until the 9th inning that the Astro bats came alive. It was back-to-back shots by Scott and Thon in the first inning that put the Astros on the board and gave them a lead. Mets quickly tied it up on a 2-run shot by Darryl Strawberry in the 3rd. Then in the top of the 8th, after 2 singles by Brooks and Strawberry, up came Foster and drove one deep to left field. Back went Cruz to the track, to the wall. That's out of here. 3-run shot. 5-2 Mets. Bottom of the 8th. Seaver had his way with the pinch hitter and with the leadoff batter and the 2-hole batter. And then the Mets, in the top of the the new pitcher, faced DePino, who's going to get the victory. And the Mets stranded a player at third base in the top of the 9th, and then came the bottom of the 9th with Seaver coasting along, gave up the double, the walk, the 3-run homer to tie the game at 5 apiece, and then the walk-off game-ending home run by Ray Knight, a soon-to-be Met. I believe he played with the Mets in 84, 85, and 86, or 85 and 86. So Ray Knight is showing off what he can do with the bat, and that's going to give the Met brass more reason to sign him and bring him over to the Mets and put him at third base, because Hubie Brooks just doesn't seem to be impressing. I'll be honest with you. So that's it. So the Mets had 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 hits. And the Astros had 4, 6 hits. Wow, look at that. Astros beat the Mets. No, it was a well-played game. There were no errors, and it went very, very fast. What are we at, 29? And I recapped that last inning for like 3 minutes. So we probably finished the game in 25 minutes easily. So, all right, guys. Doubt payoff pitch. They lose a 3-run lead late. Well, if this was played with APBA Master, would it make APBA Master? APBA Master is like, oh no, dude, don't ever use that term on my channel, ever. Don't ever say the APBA Master game. Okay, that will get you flogged, tied and feathered, sent to the pillory, and solitary confinement, do hard labor for the rest of your life. The APBA Master is notorious for blowing guys' minds. Okay, when they look at those boards with all the charts and numbers and for every little thing, it just blows you away. Yeah. So So APBA, no, APBA, the APBA Master Game is notorious with some guys, but hey, I'm a straight talker, and I'll tell you, some guys love it, and they say they wouldn't play it any other way, and it's the best game in the world, and they can play every game in 20 minutes. I bow to those guys. I'm like, okay, amazing. If you can do that, you're amazing. I can't do that. I was actually traumatized as a kid when I ordered the Master Game because I wanted something a little bit more, and I looked and I saw all those charts, and I was like, thank you, RJ. Sorry you. And I looked at those charts and I said, "Whoa, mama!" I started crying, and I never survived. It was worse than going to Vietnam. So yeah, don't ever please mention the APBA master boards on my because otherwise there will be a knock on your door shortly, and you will be taken to Guantanamo Bay, held forever without charges, without evidence, because that's what they do. According to the Patriot Act, we can hold people, okay, just for suspecting that they're doing something wrong. We can hold them, in perpetuity. So anyway, that said, what a game. Tom Seaver, he's, I believe, 0-4 and fails to get his first victory of the season. Now, Seaver was like, I believe, 10-14 or 9-14 in '83 with the Mets. Mets had a terrible team. And it doesn't look as bad as they played on paper. I just don't know what it is. When you look at the lineup, they got Strawberry, Foster, and Kingman. Kingman goes down with an injury, so that makes a big difference. But then they get Keith Hernandez. Keith Hernandez is just, a month away from joining the Mets, and he's going to be a big boost to the infield. With Oquendo at short, I mean, they have a very strong up-the-middle defense with Giles in 8 and Oquendo in 9, and that's made a huge difference. But the pitching is just the Mets are really struggling with the pitching. So, wow, 1-1-1, and it's 6, 5 walks. He had a walk there, another walk, 2 walks, had 4 walks, and strikeouts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so 5 strikeouts, and that was it. Holy smokes. Mamma mia. Big loss for the Mets. All right, guys. I'm going to play the next game. I'm going to input this game. What I'm doing is I'm using the stats from APBA, and then I'm also playing this now. I played the same game with payoff pitch. I played the same game with, wait a second, where is it? I played the same game with payoff pitch. Here it is. Let me show you. Let's compare and contrast. So the same game with payoff pitch was 7-4. Final score was 7-4. Mets won it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I have that down here. Seven hits allowed for the Mets, and Seaver and Sisk and Roscoe allowed 10 hits. 1 error, no errors. So this is the payoff pitch version, and this is the APBA baseball version. So as you can see, APBA holds its own. I mean, this is a system that was set up in the 30s, from what I'm reading. He started and he played this during World War II. And then after World War II is when he started his business, his company. So this has been around. It's based on, fundamental math. So you're not going to get a fake result. This is going to be proportionally and mathematically, right on target. And there's no funky metrics. It was just straightforward averages, pretty much. I mean, there weren't a lot of metrics in the 50s. This game came out in 51. How many walks in pop game? Okay, how many walks in the pop game? Let's see, which one was the pop game? This one was the pop game. The walks, there were Scott gave up 3 walks, and the Mets gave up 6 walks. Seaver had 3, Sis gave up 2, and Roscoe gave up 1. And in the APBA game, Seaver gave up 4 walks, whereas Scott gave up none. So now I have my stats from when I did my season replay with payoff pitch, and there was no real issue with the walks. I also replayed the DeGrom season twice, and I have that information. And I also replayed Bartolo Colon's 2015 season twice, and again there were no major issues that I said, wow, way too many walks, what's going on here. No, it was maybe a little bit above, maybe a little bit below. So I just want to give you, if you give it time and you play it out and you keep the stats, you'll find that kind of everything plays out pretty well, and it's fairly realistic. Now, I've also played the previous game. It was a Torres game, right? I played it with APBA, and I played it with, this is the APBA game. The score was 1-0. Bruce Bereni shut out the Mets. And when I played Bereni versus Torres with payoff pitch, it was 1-0. The Mets shut out the Astros. What do you think about that? And it was reversed. All right, and the walks again. Let's see. This is the payoff pitch. Pop. 3 walks by Bereni, 5 walks by Torres, who led the league in walks, by the way. In APBA, it was 4 walks by Torres and the identical 3 walks by Bereni. Okay, so that's your walks there. Anything else pretty accurate, Emma? Yeah, I think my point is that if you base your game on solid fundamental math, you're not going to be off. This is not rocket science. It's just math. Now, I'm no mathematician. I can do basic business math because I've been in and out of business my whole life. But I'm not a mathematician who is good at proportions and metrics and all this stuff and algorithms. I'm not that kind of guy. But I know that if you base your percentages and your cards on, so this is not rocket science, so it's not impossible to do this. And guys that do this, the designers, they're flawed human beings like all of us. We're all flawed. We're not perfect, right? And that's what I think this is about. It's having fun with this stuff. It's having these discussions, and supporting the stuff that we enjoy, and supporting the stuff and not supporting stuff that you feel that the people running it are not really listening. They're not really there for you. They don't really care. There's a couple of companies out there that are notorious for not caring, feeling that we have our market and that's all. It's almost like a politician who says, hey, I have my small group of followers satisfied, to hell with everybody else, because I know those guys are going to give me the votes I need. So I don't have to listen to anybody else. I don't have to do anything for anybody else. I don't care what the 99% says. Okay, I know I have my base. I have my base, basically covered. So that's all I got to do. So this is basically the same thing. A company that says, well, we got our base. As long as we keep on doing the same thing again and again, and we don't expect a different outcome, because that, of course, would be insanity. As long as we expect the same outcome and to maintain the same thing, we don't want to do anything new or progressive or add or bring in more people. So they end up pushing some people away, but ultimately, they don't realize that their customer base is slowly but surely dying out. Okay, we have X amount of games in our dice, right? And that's it. So we have to be aware of about that. So we got to have fun with this. And yep. So that's it, guys. So I just went off a little bit at the end there, just because you guys were around and saying hello, and I just wanted to talk about something that we're both doing. Pretty much is the pop replay. So I'm doing a pop replay as well, but I'm doing it with the 83. Now, why do I bought the for $9? I got the whole set. Now this is, I can write on this. I can't write on the regular cards. I would, hang myself if I wrote on the regular cards. I can write on these cards. I can do stuff with these cards. If they get all beat up and dirty, and I make a mistake or something happens, or I want to change a rating because we just found out that Mattingly's rating was wrong in 87. Well, guess what? I just go in there and fix it. I can make notes to myself. Hey, this guy, whatever. Who knows? Whatever comes to my mind in the future. But this is like a working. And ultimately, I think I'm going to start going more towards the PDF because I know if I buy some seasons, I'm never going to play them. I know RJL is buying like all these seasons. I kind of did the same thing that he did at the beginning. I was all pumped. I was all excited. I said, this is amazing. This is the greatest thing since, sliced bread. Let me buy up all this stuff. Well, guess what? I should pull it down, but my 2018, I never unwrapped it. Okay, it's still in actually I bought like 10 sets and I think 7 are still in shrink wrap because I felt so bad about unwrapping them that I just bought the PDF, played like a handful of games or a month, or I played like a pitcher replay or something, and then I moved away from that season and moved to another one. So I think I'm gonna be selling some seasons. I think like 2018. I know RJL just bought 2018. I know. I was. If you see the advantage that you have over me, RJL, is that if you focus on one game, you can get more done. But if you play like 7 games, I'll finish that, and then I want to address Sports Time Machine's comment. Yeah, so RJL has the right idea. Well, I don't know if it's the right idea, but it's the idea that he chose. I don't know if I would be able to choose it. He only plays one game, and he wants to play payoff pitch, and that's fine. But just be aware that when you just play one game, you miss other games that are also a lot of fun as well. But that said, you will be able to get more done if you just play one game. But if you start slowing up, like I started playing off one game, RJL, I was just playing one game, and then all of a sudden I said, you know what? Let me try another game. There's some stuff that irks me about this game. So I tried another game and said, hey, this was fun. I started playing that and playing that and playing that. And said, okay, I'm a little bit tired of playing this. Let me try another game. And I kept on going from game to game to game to game. So you don't know today. Never say never. Remember James Bond? Sean Connery said, I'll never do another James Bond. Well, guess what? In the 80s, I think they were able to convince him with money, with a lot of money, to do one more. And what was the name of the Bond movie? Never Say Never Again. So I never say never. Now, Sports Time Machine. Mattingly, defense ratings are pretty atrocious. I'm not exactly sure what you're saying. He was given an F in 1987. Now, Mattingly, he was a guy who was known as a real good defender. And in 87, he was still in his prime. I could understand maybe 90, 91 when he started having serious back issues. Even 89 and 90, he was having serious back issues. But so when you say his ratings are pretty atrocious, are you talking about throughout payoff pitch that Mattingly was giving a low ratings in defense? Is that what you mean? I'm not sure exactly what you mean by Mattingly's defensive ratings are pretty atrocious. But yeah, in 87 he was given an F, and somebody called Joe out on it, and they said, and basically it was Joe said, yeah, I made a mistake. I can't argue for that. I can't back that up. I don't know. He is rated by Sam, App, and other games. Oh, okay. That's well 80. I only have 83. I do have 87. Let me see if I can see it. Wait, I think I see it. Hold on. All right, Yankees, 87. So in 87, now I remember Mattingly as being a 5. 5 is pretty much the top. I think there may be a 6, but you don't see a 6 very often. These are the extra players. See, I get all this extra. You can get these for $35-$40, which is great because you can play ball for very little money. Cerrone, Guidry, Gullickson. The problem with APBA is has very simplistic pitching system. So if there he is. He's a 5. That's like top of the line. In 87, APBA grades him top of the line. Now, I don't have the 87 Strat. What other 87s do I have? That's all I have for 87. 87 is not one of my favorite seasons, so I don't have anything else. But he is a 5 in APBA. But APBA, I'm not sure what metrics they used. APBA used a series of things. They used, a lot of anecdotal stuff from fans. This was the 60s, the 50s, and the 60s and the 70s. So they had a whole army of people that would cut out newspaper clippings from local teams, from the sports pages of the local newspapers, and they would put them in an envelope and they'd send them out to, the staff at APBA Games, because APBA Games was one of the first tabletop baseball games out there. So they already had an army of scouts, if you will, okay, of operatives, if you want to use a funny word, right? They had an army of operatives out there throughout the country, and they would watch the games and they would cut out newspaper clippings. And if APBA was maybe a little conservative, not as generous as they thought for a particular player, they'd cut out all the clippings and they'd send it in, and APBA would get this information and then they'd post it and they'd discuss it with their small group of whoever their raters were at that time. But really, APBA didn't use a lot of metrics other than the fundamental, metrics, fielding, whatever metrics were available in the early 80s, mid 70s, mid 60s, and mid 50s. I guess that's what they had access to. But they used a lot of anecdotal stuff. They used a lot of, word of mouth. They cared more about getting the weight, the height, the date of birth on the card. If you look at the APBA card, it's pretty funny, right? Orozco. They take up, maybe 1/6 of the card with the bats right, throws left, height 6'2". But the great thing about APBA is the font is ginormous. Okay, that's one thing that I love and I embrace about APBA. The font is ginormous. It's huge. So it's easy, very, very easy to read. The cards are very extremely uncluttered. I don't like the new cards. I only buy the old cards, the old school cards. It's all I'll buy because I like the style that they were. I don't like the cluttered card. Today, they have a cluttered card. Joe is saying that Donnie Baseball average bah humbug. Well, if you go by metrics in that season, and of course, depending on what metric you're using, because he could be really high on one metric, but be really low on another metric. That's another tricky bit. All right. So, because I question about Oquendo is a 9 in APBA. But then when I played him in payoff pitch, right? When I played him in payoff pitch, he's a C, which is, so now 9 is really good. So 9 is, he's at the top. A 10 is the best. A 9 is second best. But a 9 still gets to use fielding column 1, which is the top fielding column. Okay. So I questioned Joe. I said, why is he a C? Why is he a C on in your game? And he mentioned that because then I went further and I looked at the range factor. In the range factor, he's 4th in the league. Oh, hey, Philip Reynolds, how are you, brother? RJL, Jose Oquendo is 4th in the league in what is called range factor. Okay? Well, yeah, exactly. Because you actually started this, all right? RJL made a comment, and he was like, because I was questioning why is he high in one game but low in the other game. So RJL said, well, he has a low fielding percentage. And I was saying, okay, that could be it. That could be the answer. Let me find out a little bit more, right? Let me find a little bit more. So then I started researching, and I found out that Oquendo has a very high range factor. So it does make sense that he's given a 9. But then I question why payoff pitch now only gives him a C. And then, of course, the explanation was that oh, all the grades are interdependent, but in the whole game they're interdependent on each other. But wait a second, that doesn't seem fair to a kendo who earned his high range rating, and you're taking it away from him, but you're still giving it to other guys like Boa kept his high range. Who else was high at Boa and a couple other guys? Oh, Ozzie Smith kept his high range. And then there was a guy, Fletcher on Chicago White Sox, actually is below Okendo's range, but was able to keep it. But then here's the trick. Then Joe said, "Well, I'm using time run zone." So then I went in and I looked up time run zone, and of course, Okendo's all the way at the bottom in time run zone. So a lot of times it depends on what you use. But one game could have him high because they use one type of rating criteria, whereas the other game could have him lower because they use a different rating criteria. And it's not always that every rating criteria keeps players at the same level. Sometimes they go up and down. The question is, and now this is another discussion, another debate, which is the best criteria to go by? I really don't know. I'd like to hear from people who know more than me and who do this more for a living, the designers, what they think. And a lot of times you get guys that are pseudo designers, and they come on and they'll tell you, well, I think this is the best or that's the best, and that's a good question to have. But really, ultimately, everything is within a certain range, and as long as you're consistent in whatever you use, the results should come fairly realistically. Now, since I have a lot of you guys here, I do ask you to take a look to keep team stats more than individual stats. Keep team stats and look at those team stats and look at the errors committed. Okay. Now, I'm not suggesting or implying there's anything wrong with the errors. I feel that based on what I've done 400 or 500 games, that the error opportunity does not come up enough. Now, I may be wrong. The only way we'll know is if enough of us keep an eye on the errors, just like I'm kind of following the walks as well. I don't know that there's enough error results. I may be wrong. So that's why we have to look, and I need more evidence than my experience. That's just one, right? That's just one sample size. We need multiple sample sizes, one from you, one from another person, one from another person. And then if we all come to the same conclusion, then we have more evidence to make a call for an adjustment or correction. Remember, guys, this is a living and breathing game. Okay, these are designers who are flawed people. They make mistakes, they make misjudgments, they rush through things just like all of us. Okay, so we also have to be a support system and a guidance. That's why if you have designers who are open and who are willing. I had a great conversation with a designer from who is really a brilliant guy from Deep Drive Baseball. Okay, what a great game that is, and I'm going to start playing it soon again. I have all my cards out. Really enjoy that game. Plays so much fun, and the cards are gorgeous, so easy to read. Anyway, I had a great conversation where he wrote 8 paragraphs of statistics to support his decision, but it never really spoke to the question I had at the time. And I said, hey, listen, I'm not questioning all the stats that basically structure your game, the foundation for your game. I'm not questioning that at all. I'm really questioning what your interpretation is of those stats. And then I said to him, do you have a stat on how often a player goes from first to third? Okay. And then it was like, yeah, he said, sure, yeah, I do. And he gave me a stat. Okay. Now I said, do you have a stat about how often, when he does go from first to third, he's thrown out at third, right? And he said, no, I don't have a stat for how often he was thrown out at third base. Okay, so if I'm playing your game and and every time I try to go from first to third, I get thrown out 50% of the time. And I get 3 guys thrown out at third base every game. And I'm not talking about slow guys. I'm talking about fast guys. And I end up playing a game where my guys are going station to station. You think that's representative? So these are the things, so he could have gone the opposite way. This was a very thoughtful, very intelligent guy who's very metrics math based. So he could have gone and he could have done what a lot of games do. Just say, okay, everybody gets to third. Unless you're really slow, you get thrown out. APBA does it. Payoff pitch does it. And most games, just, hey, third, you're not always going to get to third, but with 2 outs, you're pretty much, if you're fast, you're going to make it to third. I like what inside pitch does. They're really the best game in terms of that, in terms of detail. If the ball's hit to the right side, then they give you a plus to go to third base, which makes absolute sense. So if you're fast and the ball's hit to the right side, well, guess what? Probably 90% of the time you're going to make it to third. But if you're slow and the ball's hit to left field, guess what? Don't try to get to third base, because if you do, you're a dumbass. You see what I'm saying? So, a lot of times when you try to add too much detail and it's the wrong kind of detail where it takes away from the game, then that's bad. Then that's dangerous. So rather than doing that, I would rather people do what payoff pitch did or what APBA does, and just say, and what even Stratomatic does, gives you the opportunity to try to get the extra base if you feel real frisky, but otherwise just let the game engine tell you when you can go to third. I don't want to be rolling for every single guy that goes from first to third throughout my whole game. It's just not something that's that exciting. And I expect it to happen normally within the confines of the game. There's not a play at third base every single play, every time a guy goes there. 90% of the time, they throw to the cutoff man at second base or at short, right? Left fielder throws it to short. Right fielder throws it to second. Guy makes the turn because the ball was hit in the gap. It depends on the type of hit, where the ball is hit, if you can make it, generally speaking. If it's hit right at the left fielder on a bullet line drive, 1 hop, you better not try to go to third, especially if there weren't 2 outs and you weren't already running. So these are the factors that. So it's okay to be abstracted, because it builds the fun if you're abstracted a lot of times. It doesn't take away from it. Now, if you want to add detail, you got to be smart, you got to be cautious, and you got to be receptive to what people say as a designer. You got to be open-minded. Don't be stubborn. Don't be closed-minded. Be open-minded. Listen to what people. I'm not saying change for what every little guy. If Philip Reynolds says something, you don't have to change your game. If CP Cars and Dice says something, you don't have to change your game. Sports Time Machine says something, you don't have to. But guess what? If everybody says the same thing, maybe you should consider maybe down the line, offering something that would get guys excited. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you change it because because you talk to 100 guys and 100 guys are going to have a different opinion. And that's okay. That's good. But when you talk about one subject and 99 guys say the same thing, then that's when you should be like, okay, let me think about this a little bit more, and that's one of the things where some of the older game engines don't do. They have a kind of a very conservative, not willing to adapt, right, or to change, and they don't want to hear about anything, and even if you say something that's obviously wrong with their game, like half the guys don't go to third on a ground ball hit to second, when the metrics are that 90% of guys go to third from second with a ball hit to second and first, and your game says it's 50%, and guys are telling you it's wrong, and you don't fix it over years and years and years, it tells me you really don't care that much. But if you fix it, something that's obviously wrong, then I fix it in my own house, right? I'm the commissioner here, and I fix it in my own house, and I overrule whatever I don't like. If I don't like it, I'm overruling it. I don't care. And I'm not going to give any excuses. I'm not going to give it explanations. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Who knows? But and I may overrule it one day, and I may not. But usually, the things I overrule, it's because they're very questionable, very very questionable things. You know, very extremely questionable. So that's about it. Philip says, CP Cards and Dice should create his own baseball game. Oh man, you know what? I love the games that are out there already. Why would I ever want to do that, Philip? I love the games that I play so much that I wouldn't want to get bogged down in me trying to mess around and being smarter than everybody else, because I don't look to be smarter than everybody else. Not at all. Right? I look to work together as a community and make our games better and have more fun. That's all. And I do get attacked a lot of times because I think there's a misconception of where I come from and type of person I am. And you know what? And I get attacked a lot of times. I get a lot of hate mail and stuff like that from people on PM me. And I said, dude, why are you PMing me insults and harassment? You can put me on ignore. You don't have to ever hear anything I say again. You know? And the guy doesn't answer. He keeps it up. And then I have other guys, do the same thing because, I sometimes they get mad because I make things seem silly, and I feel that sometimes I make light of what is really a whole silly hobby, but I have fun with it, and it keeps my mind busy, and it keeps conversations, you know. And but guys get offended because they think that their game is the only game in the history of mankind. And I'm like, dude, you're missing on a ton of fun. There's great games out there that really are so modern, so sleek, and so well designed, and are so smooth when playing. That just working on this, playing with this, very kind of narrow, algorithm system that's structured in such a primitive kind of old-fashioned Cold War style is fine. It's good. It's not bad. But don't turn your back on the other games. And don't come to me after you play it for a day and try to sell it and say, "Oh, the game sucks." What do you mean? You played it for a day, dude? How are you going to learn a game in a day? Give it a chance. Give it a chance, and you play it a couple of days every week for a month, for 2 months, for 3 months, and you'll see. You'll start getting the flow, and you'll find you get a nice flow. It takes time to get into a flow with these games. So I'm having to alternate. I print out 2 score sheets. This is what I'm doing now. I'm always up to something, right? I print out 2 May 7th score sheets. Look at that. One, both same, everything's the same. And I play one with one system and one with the other system. And then I compare both systems just for fun. I don't know. I have nothing else to do. So this is CP Cards and Dice. Strat adapts it for PC. It better be Max rule. We can adapt out of it. I have, Sports Time Machine. I have 3 or 4 seasons with Stratomatic PC game. And when I have to input a bases loaded double play, that's a pain in my ass. There's no reason for that. Just click double play, and one click on one thing that says DP, and that's it. Don't. Why do you got to make it so? My daughter saw the interface the other day. She was in the room on Father's Day, and she said, "Oh, look, that looks like one of those old Atari games from the '80s." And I go, "Yeah, kind of. It's kind of like that." It's come on. I mean, you if you have such a good customer base and if you're making money, give us a modern product. Update that. One click. Replay does it. Gives you one click. Yeah, well, that's another can of worms. I'm not even going the expense, But we could have another discussion another day about that. But just the fact that it takes me so long to input a game, I got to click on the upper right-hand corner or hit enter, I guess, right? Then it opens up a box. Then you got to scroll down to another menu. Then you got to scroll down to another menu. Then you got to put in shortstop. Then you got to put in first base. Everything goes to first base on a grounder. I mean, unless there's guys on base. So it should be automatic. You just hit the 6-3. With nobody on base, if it's a ground ball 6-3. Right? Ground ball second, 4-3. You shouldn't have to put in the 3. I mean, where are they going to throw it if there's nobody else on base? You know, and then you have a special section laid out in case there's an anomaly, something unusual. If something unusual comes out, then of course I can do that by hand. But 90% of baseball is the same old, same old, same old. Nothing changes. Yeah, Sports Time Machine says I am using Strat. I mean, I'm using Replay and Strat. CP, can I go head to head with you using Replay and score it faster than you? Well, I don't know how you can do that, but I would. That's interesting. That's pretty interesting. I just don't see unless you have a tactic that I don't have. You first of all, you could be like the fastest gun in the West. So I'm not going up against Jesse James. But that said, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Sports Time Machine. I have a video on how I do it. Let me bring it up because I have it here. I'm inputting this stat right here. I'm gonna do it right now on camera. And I'm clicking as fast as I can click, but you got to move the mouse. Unless are you using the hotkeys? Faster mouse clicking skills. You're a jerk. That's what she said. All right, let's see. Blah, blah, blah. All right, so play ball. Let me get in here. I got to hit error message a bunch of times because I got no wave installed in my old. All right, so Mookie Wilson. This was the game. This is the Scott game. Scott, I just played this game. Tom Seaver versus Scott. And this is the APBA game I just played. This is the one I got to input. All right. So Mookie Wilson, I got to input a K. I go to swing. I go to play result. I scroll down to K, and that's fast. Okay, those are the fast ones. Then Brooks, I got a fly ball. Here I got to go again. I got to go swing. I go to fly ball. Then I go to 7. Fly ball, that's fast. Those are fast. But when you get certain things, now Strawberry, he singles. That's only one. That's a single. Okay, but not in a million years could you beat me, okay, if I used replay. You know why? Because replay, all I could do, listen to me. Okay, if you want, we'll do it. Okay, we'll do it. We'll get together on what do you call it? The Google one, the Hangout or Meets, and we can do it there if you want, and we can record it so everybody can watch it. This is the Duel, the fastest PC game in the West and the East in the United States. All right, and I'll tell you why, Sports Time Machine, you couldn't beat me. I'll tell you why. Because in the time it takes you to input 1, I could input 3 with Replay Baseball. Okay? That's right. In the time it takes you, in the time it takes you to input a bases loaded double play, I could do half the game. That's an exaggeration. But yeah, pretty much. Okay? So yeah, no way in the world would you you can go like this. Listen to this. You ready? Listen to this. This is replay. That's 1 inning, half an inning. Okay? This is a whole inning in replay. I just scored half an inning. A whole inning there, the second time around. That's how fast it is. Because you just click on K, then you click on 7, then you click on 6-3. That's it. 3 clicks. All right, and that's all the batters. Those are the 3 batters. So anyway, I think we had fun with this conversation. Philip says, "Ella, that's what age gets you. Faster mouse clicking skills." Oh, you StreamYard, I want to see. Philip Reynolds, you crack me up, dude. You're funny. Philip Reynolds loves boxing. That's very cool. And he plays that great. He plays the Glory, right? The Glory Days, it's called, by Anthony. Anthony he's fun. He's a smart guy. All right. So I think that's it, guys. So I think we had our chat, we had our talk, and I did about an. I gave you guys. The game was played in 25 minutes, and I gave you 25, 50, 35, 45 minutes of chat and analysis and so forth. So did boxing today. Cool. All right, guys. So I'm gonna cut it short. I got to input this game. It's gonna take me like half an hour. I wish I had Sports Time Machine here. Strawberry, how did he get to second base? That shouldn't have happened. So now I got to undo. How did he get to second base? Let's see. Oh, because I wrote double instead of single. I was rushing so much. So Strawberry's going to single. And then an easy one, Foster's going to strike out. And I'm going to keep on doing this whole game so the stat tracker will keep it up. Anyway, CP Cards and Dice. Take care, guys. I will see you again soon. Get something from this chat and carry it on so we can have fun with it. Take care.